Hey guys, welcome back. Hi Samuel.
Hi, Stuart.
Episode 1 of Season 2 of Discovery.
We've been waiting very patiently since season 1 ended. Since we saw the Enterprise, we've been talking about it, theorising about it, and now we're going to do a short review, a very bite-sized review that you can all watch and enjoy, and then a longer live review later on today. Because I have not talked to Stuart at all about this. I've not looked at online reviews. I have no idea. So this is our first genuine conversation about it so far. So Stuart, what did you think?
I rather enjoyed it. I thought that Star Trek's kind of getting back to its feeling a bit more like Star Trek. It's just this is one episode in, but I think they did a fantastic job on it. Well paced, action packed, kind of self contained episode, and I didn't expect that. I expected something a little different, but this was very much its own entity. This episode, and was it perfect? Nope. Were there things I could complain about? Yep. But overall, I did enjoy it.
I will say that I mirror that a lot. That I think what we're going to do as a community is say, just like Deep Space Nine, just skip straight to season 3. Discovery, just skip straight to season 2. You don't need season 1. It sets up Lorel and Tyler. But you can read that online. This should have been the season 1 opener, even to the point of reintroducing Burnham. It also had a better introduction to Burnham, with the intro 2 minutes. Like seriously, and even because it set the context of that intro. But yeah, this is a much better season 1 beginning, in tone, in structure, in character. You could see how blatantly they've taken all of the problems of season 1 and addressed like a checklist. Like a lot of them anyway, the ones they just felt, yeah, we can just do that without compromising, and it does feel better across the board. I was quite pleased.
I totally agree with you. I'm not going to say that I loved it. It's one of my best episodes of Trek ever. It's up there. It's pretty good. It's action packed. You get to see more Pike. You get to see, like you said, a lot of character stuff. And it did feel like watching a summer blockbuster movie though in the middle,
Yeah.
which felt more kind of JJ-esque a little bit. But they need to have that kind of interaction every once in a while, I think.
The problem with this sort of show is that it's very much, this is a setup episode. It's self-contained. You get the setup and it pays off, but the payoff is still to be continued. So our enjoyment of it is still dependent on what happens the rest of the season. In the payoffs, it has characters develop, so it works, but you're still waiting for more, which is nice and bad at the same time. So that's the problem with chapters in a book. They don't just stand by themselves. Even though they did start a mission, succeed in arriving at the mission, fail to do their mission, but then get a new mission and reset. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that kind of payoff for this one. I expected it to be like, oh, look, we arrived. There's the red thing. Where's my red thing? I love that line.
yeah,
But and then kind of that be the end of the episode. But no, a lot of what we've seen in the trailers obviously came from episode 1,
yes.
and more so than I anticipated, to be honest.
Like last year, it's like exclusively they're not showing
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah, which kind of took me by a little bit by surprise. But I did like the way it kind of ended out. The only issue I really have with the ending is Pike's uniform. The one lady's like, "Oh, I can see where all Starfleet's money's going into the new Discovery. Don't covet thy neighbor's starship." But we got the new uniforms though, and then there was mention of how colorful they were. So I did like that. And if they're new uniforms, why are you going back to the old ones?
At least they mentioned it. Which I will say, I think honestly, this episode. Now, I'm comparing it mostly to the previous season Discovery. This episode was far better written. The script was genuinely solid, which is not something Discovery it normally falls down on. Plot holes. I mean, does everyone remember episode 3, the 6-month, sarcophagus being left in nowhere space, and it's like this opens up 15 questions of stupid plot hole because they had to reassign this show, or multiple things. This was a much better written, and even I thought I saw several plot holes, but then in rewatching to get the screen caps, I found several answers that were in the dialogue. Okay, maybe they might have burned through quite quickly, but they actually did set up things that, yeah, it's actually a pretty well crafted piece, which I'm not used to for Discovery, honestly.
Yeah. And having said that, I totally agree with you. If you've only seen this once, guys, I would suggest going back and watching it again. First run through, then taking my notes. Then I watched the Orville. And then when the Orville was finished, they were replaying it on Space. So I just sat there and watched it again. And so I guess only 3 then. And you do pick up things on second, third viewings. Little quick lines of dialogue that you missed the first time. And that's kind of... I don't know if that's a failure on their part because, like you said, you missed some things on the first run. I definitely did. But you do pick them up on later watches. So it does answer its own questions, but the way it does so is very quick and very fast-paced. So I don't know.
But they are still there, though. So that's more... I mean, everyone's different in what they can pick up. Like, some people won't pick up the ship stuff as much as we will. Or, they show the ship that's crashed in a diagram. Some people wouldn't catch that because it was too quick. So I think that's a person-on-person thing. But the fact that it is in the dialogue, the fact they do address... I literally had a question, literally about Spock and Amanda, and then the next line, Burnham addressed it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because that's the thing. If you can set up these rules as long as you address them and talk about them, and this was so much more balanced. I mean, I guess skip to the end, but Stuart, the best episode of Discovery so far of the Discovery-verse franchise?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can feel the new direction, and it really helped. And Pike, I mean, what a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Pike. He was fantastic in this. I love the way he wanted to know the crew, and he had read the classified brief on Lorca. He knew that the crew was betrayed by him, so the way he handled the crew was, I think, spot on, well done. The one thing that made me laugh, though, is he's like, roll call. And they're like, what? People want to know our names? We don't even know our names. How are we supposed to tell you? And I said that to Sylvia. As soon as he said roll call and they all had that look on their face, I'm like, they don't even know their own names because they were never mentioned in season 1. So then they go around the bridge. And yes, a lot of the names were said in season 1, obviously. But we didn't get a feel for any of these characters. And hopefully this season corrects that, makes it more of an ensemble piece. I'm looking forward to that.
All of the secondaries had more lines in this one episode than they did the entire season 1. And I'm not joking. It's on par with 13 episodes, or at least only in 12. And they made such an effort, such an absolute effort to cut to their reactions, to say their name. Pike said their name every chance he could. But guess what? That's how you build a crew. And it's just showing the massive flaws in season 1, where they did not care. It was about this, wrong balance. It's like when a show is so focused on its objective that it forgets everything else that's important. And if the objective isn't strong enough, if the act doesn't work, if the script doesn't work, then you lose all that. Whereas this one, it enjoyed the ride. And it was, we'll mention this now, it was in a full hour, with obviously a long pre-title and trailer for next season, so it was maybe like 55 minutes. What did I say last year about Netflix, about it being on demand? They can do whatever length they want. Was it slow? Was it long? Because I did read a couple of comments online after I read it saying some people thought it was slow and boring. What did you think? Because it is distinctly a lot longer, a full, half longer. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I didn't get that sense at all. It was like the 47-minute mark, and I looked at the time and I'm like, I thought we were like 20 minutes into this because I was just enjoying it so much. I'm like, they're going to end it so soon. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then they've put a bunch of stuff in the end there that, it kind of like this should be the ending. Oh no, there's another scene. But the way they did it was well done. I think it didn't feel as long as it was for me. I thought it was really well paced and it was a good ride for sure.
It's like I said a minute ago. It's a show. It's actually an episode that wanted to take its time. They because I've written a lot of scripts. I've filmed a lot of scripts. When you have a limited time frame, I get the sense they probably were told, because it is about budget as well. It does take time and money to make 5 more minutes. Making 40 minutes and just stick them around 40 minutes, that's a thing. But when you only have a certain amount of minutes, the first thing to go is the character dialogue. The first thing to go is the stuff that only enhances the extra stuff. If you need a line about, Captain Killy being a murderer versus another officer saying he likes petunias, I mean, what's going to go first? The one that's less important. And that was this episode. They left in all of that and ensured there was more because there was new characters in it, and it really felt fleshed out. It felt like a journey. You were on it with these people, and you got to know the entire crew better pretty much than most of season 1. Again, this would have been a very solid beginning of... This should have been episode 1 of season 1. I mean, okay, Pike would have been a bit weird and would have been a bit with us, but that this is a far better pilot, an intro episode. It's lighter, it's more entertaining. We watched episode 1. I mean, we watched episode 1 of last season, and we had all these problems with the bad Klingon stuff. It's like, oh my god, this is dragging the voice, the racism, the horrible destruction of the Klingon Empire and the culture, the bad mistakes of these people, the intro on the planet that makes no sense and is just stupid and visual over any sort of substance. In this episode, it was all substance for the most part, and you said, a brilliant action scene with the spinning things is fun. I mean, it's good. I didn't need it, and that cost like a lot. I mean, this episode was heavily over budget. You didn't need that. I mean, I guess but you didn't need it. It was good, but you didn't need it.
That was the one part where I kind of didn't need that. I didn't need that scene. I really didn't. It could have been a lot shorter, for sure. They tried to pad it out with action and really didn't need it. It honestly didn't.
Well, especially as it was just, cutaways to more grey asteroids with more... Because the ship looks the same anyway it spins, so it's identical shots of the spinning thing with identical rock shots. So it was the same visual thing again and again and again. Although I did like the sound design. It sounded very much like the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith fighter intro. It was very like Star Wars art design. I was like, oh, okay.
You know what I heard and saw there was a precursor to the jellyfish. But anyway.
Yeah, that's I mean, that makes no sense. It would be, but yeah. Although I like they did call it back to the stuff that landed on the planet at the other. Okay. So my last big positive, I think I want to say, and then we'll get into some negatives because we've been pretty glowing. Is that in season 1, Michael Burnham, the character Michael Burnham, who was sort of shoehorned into the universe, so we already had a sense of doesn't quite fit. We were told she was amazing by everybody, but she barely ever showed it. In fact, she made mistakes. She did stupid things. She was a very poor character in terms of real development. This episode, she did good things, and didn't say she was great once, but she did good things every opportunity. She, again, good setup for her. She did good things. Didn't need credit, didn't need recognition, she just did good things.
That being said, she came across very much Mary Sue-ish in this episode, even with the way that Pike said, he said you were smart and all this, and the way she rescued Pike, and she's always the one doing everything. It's like, you got to stop that, guys. That's one of the biggest problems, I think, with the show. Yeah. You can go too far if you keep pushing it. And certainly Spock saying she's smart. It's like, so he never mentions her, and yet does mention her that she's. It's like, so that's it both did good and did bad. For example, when she's fixing the transport or trying to, I was like, well, she's not an engineer. She's a xenobiologist, but also she served on a Shinjo-like ship for 7 years with these transporter pads, so she knows them better than Pike might. So and this engineer that's been on this ship and created these little floaty probe things and managed to be a mechanic for all the passengers on board, says to her, "Where were you 10 months ago?" Like, really? That kind of pissed me off a little bit, because it's like the engineer couldn't even do what Burnham is doing in 10 seconds.
And Burnham, like, seriously, Burnham couldn't save those people with that engineering technique. And they said random engineer could. No, that's interesting. I took that, though, as more a case of, where was this? We've got power. We've got a vibe of get out of there. Whereas she's like, well, I'm stuck. Shit, what do I do? Like, but you're right, saying that context. But let's move into negatives then. We've been pretty positive, and that's nice. That's good. We both came away with positive feelings, because again, Discovery, you show us content, we'll call out the good and the bad. But what are some of the bad things then?
The interior of the ship, the
Which
turbo
ship?
lift shot. The turbo lift shot in Discovery. It looked like some kind of Universal Studios ride or something. There was even a work bee flying inside the ship, and I didn't understand what I was looking at. I went back and watched the scene a few times.
Stuart, the ship's hollow. Didn't you realize?
Apparently, it's like the TARDIS. It really is. So there's that, and there's also the mile-long launch tubes for those. And with the like, why? They were all side by side in the launch bay. And where did they launch from? Where's the tube that they came out of? Because it was right between the engines somewhere. But all that's there is the shuttle bay. So they went through all these tubes and then back out through the shuttle bay.
And below the shuttle bay, there's a slight incline and decline of a hull. Yeah, there is no hull. When they did this last time to get on the Spore planet, they had dedicated launchers in the shuttle bay.
Yeah,
Like,
that went to the doors and then launched.
I love the sequence of it coming down and they were neatly tucked. I was like, okay, that's a cool place to put it. But yeah, they don't go anywhere. And yes, as soon as I saw that, it's like we know exactly how long this is to this. Why is she going 3 times the distance at a fast speed? It was
and crisscrossing with the other pods as they launch, like what?
which is normally build things simply for lack of. Can you imagine how unsafe that is? They tend to get the ship stuff wrong, but that's a CGI person thing's been directed. Now we're getting to different positions doing different things. The writing was better. The directing was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. The VFX were good, but yeah, the thought. So then, they might be holdovers from season 1 who don't quite care enough to make it make more sense. Yeah, there were certainly things. Anything else?
That was one of my biggest pet peeves, and also the fact that on the display behind Stamets was the Enterprise with the straight struts, which kind of bothered me a little bit. Because it made me think that maybe people were right about it being a production error. Because I do love the fact that the Enterprise is so badly damaged that it's going to be out of service for a while. They don't explain why. Just all that's working is life support. But I was hoping that would be some kind of refit. So when we come back at the end of the season, it's in Earth space stock and it's got the straight pylon and it's gleaming white. Still maybe the same design, but that's fine. And when I saw it on the screen, I'm like, oh no, my heart just sank.
430 people. So Discovery didn't know how many people were on the ship, but Burnham did.
430 people, and then in red it said 429. Right underneath it, meaning one person was gone, that being Spock.
But Burnham says all 230 crew are still alive.
Does she really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's because they used the cage numbers for her line of dialogue.
Which is being clever.
Franz Joseph information. Oh my god, I didn't even notice that, dude.
And I do want to get. The Enterprise and how it's treated we're going to get into it later on. But yeah, some of the classic Discovery lack of thought, laziness problems come in. I love how you're right. They say Enterprise completely offline. Why are the Basards still on? You understand they're connected to the warp core, so the warp core's still on.
And the inner chiller grills were blue when it pulled up.
And the lights are still on, the impulse engine's still on, it's still moving. So you've still got impulse engines, the warp core online, but it's completely offline. I know it was the visual. It would have been cooler to have the Enterprise not be alive at the start of last season, because how did it. Everything about how the Enterprise is damaged, they didn't think through. Or it's a big reveal later on, because it doesn't work. And I've written notes about that, and we'll get into that in a separate video, because that is a distinct thing. But it's just dumb. The visual continuity to what they show is not, what they say is not correct, and they say permission to be on board. I guess Discovery beamed them because they have no power, they have no transporters.
They have no transporters. That line of dialogue about just life support really stuck out like a sore thumb to me. I was like, that's just stupid.
When I was like, yay, they mentioned life support, but it's like when you say shields down to 10% and yet you survive 20 more hits. One more shot will take us out. We see visual effects, 12 more shots. It's like you don't say that. Say they're down to emergency systems. That's all you need. So that was those don't quite make sense.
And surprisingly enough, we didn't see number 1. I thought we'd at least have one scene with her in this one. I guess that'll be in the next episode when they're saying goodbye to the Enterprise.
Well, I don't know. Actually, that's a good point. But we know that she's in it. We've seen it. We've seen scenes. What happens next? As soon as you said that, I thought, well, maybe she appears at the end of the season. Because obviously, it's nice to have that come back at the end of the season. You're right. It's gonna have a refit. And did you notice the warp tunnel? The exact J.J. Abrams warp tunnel effect.
I hated that. You heard it, then you see this, and then all of a sudden, within it is the ship, way past the leading edge of it. Don't even get me started on that, because that's just I've hated the warp effects since day one in Discovery.
And the last one was okay. It got us better in the end of season 1, but that was that's not even remotely. That's just wrong. And again, we're just throwing out some negative things here based on the notes. I didn't like Tilly. I liked her acting, but the fact that she said, "I'm drunk on power." You're an ensign. She's commanding people as if she has any bigger rank. Yes, she's in a command program. Doesn't give her any other authority. She acts as if she's third in command because she's a primary character. They wrote her very well as a person, appalling as an officer. And I was like, for God's sake, she's not important. She's not. She's an ensign.
She mentions that she was put in charge of organizing or whatever. I forget the line exactly, but that's why she was assigning, him a new.
But that wasn't
spot.
the same as. It's not the same as what she does after that. No. You're right, but she's only an ensign. She's only important because the cast say she's important.
Oh, one thing I got to point out.
Yeah.
The engineer that comes over from the Enterprise in red, she's a Barzan. The things on her face. It's from the TNG episode with the Barzan wormhole.
Really?
The lady
yes.
The lady that was negotiating for that.
Nice.
Had the same head
Oh,
ridges.
brilliant.
So that's a nice tie-in, and people. I know a lot of people are going to complain about that, saying why? Because it's TNG, but no, because it's a Federation. They're a Federation member world, so why not? I thought it was a great tie-in.
Do you remember I said every other season in Star Wars and such? It's like, just use races you've already got. Yep. Stop inventing new ones. Use the core first, because you've got them all. I know you want to sell new toys, not they sell toys, but yeah. And speaking of her specifically, I love they said, red shirt, you're coming with us, and then she didn't die.
Yeah, his line was, red shirt, put on an EV suit. I was like, oh, she's dead. I said to Sylvie, she's dead. And Sylvie's like, no, I think that cocky science officer guy's going to die. I'm like, oh, you're probably right.
But that was a good, as what the guy from Last Jedi says, reversing expectations. That was a good. That was good. That was good. And the fact that she was given the least lines as well led to that she could die. So that was a nice touch.
There's a few attempts at comedy. First of all, the sneezing scene in the turbo lift, and then when Saru's ganglia comes out and he's like, "Oh, what? Really? What do you expect?" I thought it was well done. I thought it was subtle enough, but it's almost like they're trying to catch that Orville,
Clearly, no.
Yeah.
I half agree with you. The turbolift was out of place and came nowhere, did nothing, meant nothing. It was completely just. That was a joke they thought early on in the process, whereas the ganglia was actually a character joke, and it was quite kind of smart. So that worked beautifully. The elevator meant nothing and was dumb. It didn't do anything. Like, if he was in the episode later, if he, you know what I mean, if we'd seen him throughout the episode and stuff, but or if it had been, him on the Enterprise, he was the other Enterprise character and he had a cold and he'd sneezed, then it'd be like, oh, that's weird. Sorry, your officer's ill. He's like, oh, it's fine. It's his time of the month. I don't know. You could make a joke out of it being an alien joke, but it didn't quite work.
There's also reference to Cetacean, like MRES from the animated series, because the science officer's roommate, he says it's their species.
Didn't know that was cool. That was. I like that. I like that. And it was actually an enjoyable episode. I remember watching episode 1 of season 1 and being like, oh, but it's going to get better. And now I watch this one like, oh, it's better. I wonder what happens next.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
And I like the fact that we have no teaser ready for the rest of the season. It could go anywhere. A lot more episodes, and if they're at any length they want to be, I genuinely enjoyed it being an hour. I thought it was quite well paced. I like the flashbacks. Like I say, if this would have been season 1, episode 1, I think the fans would have a much better time just enjoying it. Because like we said, it doesn't need to fit with Prime Canon if it doesn't want to, just to be a good episode. And this was a good episode that didn't necessarily fit into Trek Canon, but we're used to that now. So it's like, it's a dead horse,
I do think it fell down in one major plot point, however, when we saw the Red Angel, and then it turned out to be Pike with the lights coming off. I thought that was very odd, the way they did that.
She was getting a signal, and he visually walked through it. I get what you mean. It's still the Red Angel, but it was just a cool camera trick. It wasn't meant to be him as the Angel. It was...
Yes.
I thought from that, it's like, oh wow, we're gonna get a small reveal straight away. It's like, oh no, okay.
And there's a Transformers sound in it. Did you know that when they used when that thing in the shuttle bay did they used Transformers sounds with that, and I thought that was laughable. I hated that the little thing transformed into that huge.
That was dumb beyond belief because tech isn't that. So you're basically saying that it can replicate matter as it goes. It's like, if that existed, then everything else would have that. Same with the suits.
Their suits did. Yeah. It was Tony Stark nanotechnology from Avengers Infinity War.
But in TOS they put a suit on, like it's a physical suit.
They make a point of taking the helmets off, and
even in Discovery season 1 they did that. So that was sci-fi for scifi's sake, and that tech was where is it getting all this mass from? Like, stuff is fine when it comes out of a thing like a transformer. Actually, you can see where it comes from. Not like I have stills of that. It's like this did not come from that. What do you want? Like whereas in TNG they just like built it together with pieces. You know, remember in First Contact when they had to do all the little pylons on the deflector? Wow, if only Borg technology was so advanced as 22nd century Federation tech, they just put one little dot in. It goes, right, we're going to call Borg now. It's like, I know it's a visual reboot of Star Trek, that this is all technology that it's fancifully laughable because it never existed in the universe, and they're going to do it forever, and we hope that it just retcons out, because visually it all should retcon out.
Yeah.
But stories, maybe not so much. We'll see.
There's like two more things I just want to quickly talk about.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of gone longer than we expected, but that asteroid thing in the shuttle bay, when they say how'd it go, and you see the shuttle bay is basically decimated, attached to this huge asteroid.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? It was ridiculous. And then, of course, the fortune, which says not every cage is a prison, not every loss is eternal. That's both foreshadowing and calling back. Not every cage is a prison, 2 years ago in the menagerie, and then not every loss eternal. The loss of his, ability to talk and walk and everything that happens. It's not
Or
eternal
ship
because
as well.
Yes. So that was a great tie-in with the fortune cookies that were on Lorca's desk, and just an interesting.
You know, Stuart, when things are cleverly written, you kind of enjoy them, don't you? It's nice, isn't it? It's refreshing.
Right.
Ah.
I didn't get the foreshadowing bit right away. I thought it was an interesting line, but the not every cage is a prison right away just jumped out at me. But thinking about it a little bit more, there is foreshadowing there as well to Pike's future. So.
And there we go, guys. That was our less than brief summary, good and bad. I think pretty balanced there. And we're going to move straight on to filming our short videos that will come out during this week. We're doing a live tonight, so do come in. We're going to do scene by scene, talk to you, the audience, see what you think, analyse the visuals as well, because we'll have them right in front of us. This was very much by memory and with notes. I've got lots of script dialogue I want to go over, and we're going to talk about stuff about the Enterprise and Spock and lots of stuff. So do tune in a few hours. I think we're still doing straight at 10 p.m. / 5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UK.
GMT. So it's come join the Team Trekyards review, and thanks for enjoying. And Stuart, your last word.
Loved it. Looking forward to more.
Cool.
All right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins.
See you soon, guys.
Bye, guys.